It is that time of the week once again where we are on Liquid Gold TV, brought to you by Braeburn Whisky. I'm Bryony Purdue, and this week we are focusing in on whiskey versus wine as an investment and what the benefits of both are. So fill your glass with something special and come and join me. This evening we are going to talk about the differences and similarities in investing in wine and whiskey, and for these two purposes we have Severine Sloboda, who is an expert and wine importer, sommelier, and we have Niall Brown from Braeburn Whisky.
Hi guys.
Hi.
Now, Sev, to start with you, whiskey and wine are obviously tangible assets that are well worth investing in and that are attracting investors in their droves, and primarily for their excellent returns, because tangible assets over time, they appreciate, etc. But also because there's lots of fun to be had within various types of investments. So how did you become interested in wine?
Actually, I've been very lucky. My mum used to manage a wine shop in Paris for 30 years. So I've been always into it, let's say. As you know, actually in France we are big whiskey drinkers also. So I've been surrounding with whiskey and wine quite a young age. So it's been always a part of my life. So yeah, here we go.
Now, whiskey, wine and other alternative investments are known for sort of their potential for impressive returns. So why should tangible assets such as wine be part of an investment portfolio?
Yeah, I mean, fine wine investment is it's essential for the health of your portfolio, but also there's a nice enhance into the performance of it. Also, it's a great long-term benefit, I would say, and as you know, until then you don't get the bottles physically at your cellar, etc. So you free tax at the initial rate. So also that is a big thing, I would say.
Very positive, absolutely. Now, Niall, what we've heard about the benefits of investing in wine, a little bit into it there from Severine, but what are the benefits of investing into whiskey, obviously, specifically casks?
Yeah, for cask investing, the fundamental kind of benefit from investing into a single malt cask of Scotch whisky is just that exponential growth. Every single year, your asset is going to go up in value. It's very unique compared to other assets, and wine's very similar to that. Wine's got the growth aspects. The older it gets, the more valuable it becomes. So with alternative assets like whiskey and like wine, you've got that correlation with age comes value. Compare that to stock markets where you're up and down every single year. The main benefit from whiskey, in my opinion, is that natural growth and that exponential value.
Sev, can you add anything onto that about the comparison between wine and whiskey?
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing is we talk about now, it's about a produce of pleasure and that grows in value and quality into time. And there's definitely those things are comparable to those two beautiful products. Yeah.
And I think that there's, I wouldn't be incorrect in saying that more people are aware of wine as an investment as opposed to whiskey as an investment. But the similarities, because they are liquids, they're luxury products, they are over time, they take time to mature and to grow their value. So Niall, there's more than just a relationship between whiskey and wine as investments, but actually many whiskies couldn't be what they are without actually using part of the wine process. Could you elaborate on that one, please?
Yeah, I mean, the most popular kind of whiskies in the world are aged in bourbon barrels from America, so bourbon whiskey, and also sherry from the south of Spain. But a lot of the casks we have on our stock list right now are from Chateau Lafite, Burgundy, Chateau Latour. So whiskey and wines get such a nice relationship because whiskey, the wine that whiskey barrels were aging in are now part of the whiskey journey. So it's a really nice aspect of the kind of relationship there where whiskey kind of relies on wine barrels to give it that amazing taste it actually has. So it's a nice correlation.
Not just taste, but also I imagine it would help, if it was a red wine, it would help colour it as well, no?
Yeah, definitely. Colour, taste, and also that kind of allure of selling independent bottles. If you've got a bottle of whiskey, it's been independently bottled, and it says first fill Château Lafite on that bottle, it just gives an investor or a bottle collector that extra level of esteem, knowing they have such a rare single cask offering, and they've used that Château Lafite cask for the very first time. So it's such an interesting correlation. It's great that relationship's there.
And actually, to develop on that, with protecting wealth, as in investing and leaving your wealth in that to just appreciate or to be kept safe, would you say that people tend to invest in wine with that in mind, or is it more with the idea of investing to make the returns?
Both. That's the thing. You have that capacity with this extraordinary produce to mix the pleasure and business. And why not? Huh? That's good. That's yes.
Would you add anything to that, Niall, with regard to whiskey?
Yeah, I think that's one of the best things about wine and whiskey. You're investing into something you obviously love, you have a passion for. And if you can make money from investing into your passion and something you can talk about, and just, I mean, let's be honest, if you've got a case of wine, or you invest into a chateau, or you invest into Macallan, Glenfiddich, you want to talk about that. You do. It's something you want to tell your friends about, something you want to talk about, but you're also going to make money from it. So it's got two avenues. It's got that personal touch. It's also got those financial rewards that are just going to be amazing for you to actually see in a couple of years or 10 years' time.
What would you say to looking forward and planning to invest in whiskey? What would be a good place for the next, let's say for the next 5 years and then for the next 20?
Really, it just comes down to what you're looking to do. I mean, when you come to Braeburn with your objectives, we really tailor those objectives towards what you're looking to do. Are you in this for the long run? Are you in this for the short term? What kind of budget do you have? So what we do at Braeburn, we like to be more personal and more kind of bespoke. So we really tailor your investments towards what you're actually looking to do. And that really does come down to a number of things. It comes down to how much money you want to spend, how much you want to invest it for, and also what do you love. So it's really to tailor a cask proposal or to tailor cask towards a client. It changes to every single client. And we're very proud of that here, because we do give tailored, bespoke advice. So it's a tough question to answer in that respect, but it's great to know that when you come to Braeburn, we're going to literally take you from the start to the finish and make sure you're getting what's tailored to what you're looking to do.
Brilliant. That's if you want a very tailored approach, then obviously approach Braeburn about your whiskey investment hopes. Now, Sev, we've heard about your love of wine and enjoying it since you were young, hopefully not too young. But are you also partial to a whiskey?
Yes, I mean, I do love my whiskey. I think that's why one of the reasons why I moved in Scotland. But yes, I'm a big fan of Talisker, Ardbeg, and yes, and this is my little baby one. I really love the Ugadal. It's been a few months, really, but it's not really the season for it. It's a special, it's like as you said, Niall, is like, what is the need for the customer, for their portfolio.
Exactly.
What is the reason of this purchase? Is it for a short period of time? It's in the wine, as I think maybe also in whiskey, it has to be a minimum, though 7-10 years to see really an interesting return, and then it can go even further, so which is even more interesting. Yeah.
You've not gone for like little shy flavours there with the whiskies that you really enjoy. They're really punchy. They're really
Yeah. Yeah.
I suppose I should ask you. I've asked what your favourite whiskey. Well, you've answered what your favourite whiskey would be, but what is a glass of wine that you're really enjoying at the moment?
I really love, I would say there is no really a wine I love in particular. I would say it's a region or a vin that from Germany, okay, you are in Germany and you go to France, so Champagne, Alsace, Champagne and Burgundy, and you go in south to Rhône Valley, and then you go to the east to Italy, so it's kind of like arc, and this is what I love. So Germany, East France and Italy.
Perfect. Well, I think that if anyone wants to investigate that region as well, I'm sure that Severine, you can find more information on Severine and the importing wine that she does We are going to pop the details just at the bottom of the screen so you can have a look. If you'd like to find out any more, do please follow that and have a look up. Severine and Niall, thank you so much for your time. And that is a comparison about whiskey and wine investment and what to enjoy over the coming years. Thank you.
Thank you, Bryony. Thank you, Severine.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, guys.
This evening we are joined by Ellia Nikolaidis, who is a high flyer and client of Braeburn, and we have Sam Gordon from Braeburn. Hello.
Hello. Greetings.
Well, we're gonna talk about what I hear is one of your favourite things, which is obviously whiskey. Can you tell me a little bit about how long you've enjoyed whiskey for?
Well, I loved whiskey. I guess 99.9% of people on this planet either enjoy or would like to enjoy whiskey. And I wanted to do more. I wanted to do something more than just enjoy it. I wanted to invest. So I did start looking around. I started talking to people. And finally, I got to know Sam, and here I am.
Fantastic. And Sam, what was it about Elias that you felt, hey, we could really get a great series of investment opportunities for Elias?
Yeah, it took us, I would say, a couple of weeks, Elias, didn't it, to kind of go through the process of you coming in with your interest, kind of developing that over a couple of weeks, and then eventually agreeing on the Craigellachie casks, which was your first purchase. Why did I think those casks would have benefited him initially, or just whiskey investment as a whole? Again, it's his objectives. Elias is looking to retire within the next, say, 10 or 15 years, whether that's back in Greece, whether that's across in Hong Kong or Dubai, where he's lived before. It could be anywhere. So whiskey is gonna hopefully, be a good fund for his retirement. But also, again, his passion for whiskey. He wants to know more. He wants to learn. He wants to invest in different things, alternatives. So all of those things together led us to starting his portfolio.
Well, that's perfect. I mean, there's no point trying to dazzle someone with loads of jargon, because you want to actually, the point is for you to enjoy what you are going to both invest in. But why was it casks of whiskey as opposed to bottles that you felt was a better investment? Okay,
I'm kind of weak in that area, so I did try a bottle, but it didn't, investment-wise, it didn't work for me, because when I bought it, I couldn't keep it for more than a couple of weeks. I was so weak. I know I was so weak. I just couldn't keep it.
Terrible.
So soon enough, I understood that kind of investment is not for me.
Do you know what? I've asked that question of a few people. I think that's the most honest answer maybe amongst the most honest answer we've had. There are many reasons, but just wanting to drink the stuff is a very good one.
No, it was like, I mean, the first week I was disciplined. I mean, I was, but then I couldn't. I would wake up in the morning, and in the evening I would look at it, and then I put it away. But I said, no way. I can do that with wines. That's no problem, but I just couldn't do it with whiskey.
I'm glad you didn't just say that you'd wake up in the morning and drink it. I'm glad you said you wake up in the morning, look at it, and then drink it at night, or then it could have been a problem.
I think the amount of times that the concept of a breakfast whiskey has come up on this show is pretty shocking.
And there is plenty of them. In fact, I've got one of them behind me here. This Sakushu 12 it's not Scottish, it's Japanese, but it's a morning whiskey, if there is such a thing. It's great.
Sam, to sort of follow on from the last question that I asked of Elias about whiskey cask investment, the particular casks that you've suggested Elias invest in so far obviously create a nice balanced portfolio for the moment. Sure. But what do you see, or what would you suggest would be a nice addition for the future of Elias's portfolio?
I think Elias is set up very well already. He's got a solid base for his portfolio. He's got a 2-year-old Ben Riach. He's got 2 brand new Craigellachie, which are more speculative. It's a younger distillery in terms of whiskey life. But he's also got a historic Highland Park 2014 cask, so 5 years old. So I think he's got over a 5 to 10 to 15 year period, as he mentioned. He's got a lot of growth potential over that period of time. One thing I might look to add would be something that's perhaps into its teens, maybe going 12 to 15 years old. Why I would do that is because we do see this massive acceleration with whiskey. When it starts to get past the age of 18, as it becomes more scarce, that's of huge benefit to investors because they can still buy a relatively strong value. And then over time, past the age of 18, there is that acceleration. So that would be the only gap I see at the moment. And when Elias is in the market to perhaps add something like that to his portfolio, it would be my job to find him the right cask.
And of course, if you get this balanced portfolio and then you do sell the older one because it appreciates in that sort of steeper curve, which Sam mentioned, then you can invest in a couple of other younger casks and enjoy some of the investment that you've made. So, Elias, what Sam says about the relationship and the prospects for your investments in your portfolio. It's very interesting to hear what Sam has to say, but what would you say about your long-term and your short-term aims for your investments in whiskey?
I'm always in favor of diversification, and I wanted to be able to sustain the investment for maximum of 15 years, where I would be at the age that I don't think I'll be able to invest more. So in order to achieve my goal, I have to be able to invest in products that will be able to have a return in 5 years from now, 10 years from now, and hopefully in 15 years from now.
Elias, do you think that whiskey cask investment is something that's widely known about and understood, or do you think?
No, it's not known. People don't know about these things. That's opportunity, of course, for the people, for the professionals in that field, but no, it's not known. Is not known, and it's a very smart move on behalf of the professionals. They reduce the cost and they give the opportunity for other people to share the experience and share the investment and share profits. But no, I've talked to a couple of my friends, and they had no idea that they could own a cask.
No, absolutely. I think that you're right. I think for a lot of people, it isn't known about. And Sam, what would you add to that? How do you think that do you think it's beneficial for loads of people and everyone to know loads about it? Or do you think that one of the great things about it is that it is quite exclusive? What do you think?
The opportunity is nothing new. As I've said before, this is something that distilleries have done for centuries. They've distilled their liquid, put it into a beautiful oak barrel of some sort, and they've left it to mature over time. And over time, the whiskey becomes more valuable, more precious to the market. So it's nothing new. People don't know as much as I would know, or as much as somebody that works in the industry about it, but it's growing. People are starting to learn, people are starting to look at ways of diversifying, and whiskey historically has outperformed every other alternative asset on the market. So why would people not want to know more about the opportunity, would be my question.
Well, I don't think there's much to add to that. Elias, have you, I think possibly with the situation in the world this might answer itself, but have you had a chance to visit any of your casks?
Not yet, but one of my nephews is going to be studying in Edinburgh, starting from September, so I will have the perfect opportunity.
Indeed you will, and you say that you are a novice to whiskey, and I think that you're doing yourself a disservice there, but how have you found the process of investing in whiskey?
I would use Sam's words for this, which he told me one of the first calls we had.
It's very worried.
No, it's a trust. It's a relationship of trust. Yes, in the beginning, if you don't know the company that you're working with, if you don't know their processes, it's I wouldn't like to use the word worrying, but it's uncertainty. But if you have a professional to take you through the steps and explain to you what is going to happen, what is what, then you feel more comfortable. You gain this trust, and you gain your confidence also that you can manage the situation. But again, I don't want this to sound over dramatic. We're not talking about huge investments, at least at the level I'm at. But again, no matter if it's £1, €1, $1 or $10, it takes some time, and that time and trust is built over time. And Sam was wonderful and I'm sure it's not him, because he represents a company, and I'm sure he has support staff to be able to provide that service.
Perfect. Well, that, I think, brings this wonderful and very interesting chat to a nice natural end. Ellia Nikolaidis from Hong Kong, client of Braeburn Whisky, and Sam Gordon from Braeburn Whisky. Thank you both very, very much for your time.
Thank you, Bryony.
Cheers,
Elias.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is one of the finest musicians in Scotland. He's sometimes actually known as the Whisky Bard, and with 30 years and 12 albums behind him, I think that's fairly well proven. Thank you so much for joining us on Braeburn TV this evening, Robin.
My pleasure.
Well, it's great to have a whole range of whiskies like this, because obviously lots of your music is based around whiskey, so you have to have a lot of inspiration. How did you discover, or how did you start writing music about whiskey?
Well, I'd been writing songs for years. I mean, most young guys who, play the guitar try to write songs, even if just to impress the ladies. But I think I was 43 when I decided that I didn't want to be in my profession anymore. I was working in mental health, and I wanted to do something more creative. So I gave it up to be a writer, and I was originally thinking a bit of journalism and songwriting in the broadest sense. But then it just occurred to me one day that whiskey is my other passion. Music and whiskey are my passion, so why not try to put them together? And this led to me doing a show in Edinburgh during the Edinburgh Festival that had the whiskey theme. It started like one of these small snowballs that rolls down the hill and gets bigger and bigger. And so now I've done 5 books about whiskey and poetry or songs, and as you say, a large number of CDs.
Absolutely. I mean, I was going to lead on to actually asking you about how this is quite a different question, but I'm interested because you talk about storytelling and you storytell through your music, but you do write, and you mentioned changing to possibly wanting to be more journalistic and writing when you made your career change, but you write for a whiskey magazine, and does that ever influence your music and vice versa?
But in general terms, of course, if you're writing about whiskey, you have to do some kind of research, and that research often throws up things that you didn't realize or didn't know about before, that you suddenly think, oh, hey, that's really interesting. And that can lead to a song. The idea that Jack Daniels is made in a county where you can't buy alcohol. My jaw dropped when I discovered that, and I thought, that's got to be a song. You discover these little things, and suddenly it works away like a worm in the back of your head, and next thing you know, you're sitting down with a guitar and a piece of paper writing a song about it. So my writing does inform, my other writing does inform songs and poems, for that matter.
Well, Robin, it's been wonderful talking to you about whiskey and music and how you combine the two things. And I can see that you pulled out a guitar there, and I'm going to give us a little performance. So this is Robin Leng, the Whisky Bard, with an exclusive performance. Thank you, Robin.
Okay, thank you, Bryony. This song is a track of one of my whiskey albums, and it's called Whisky For Breakfast. and I'll leave you to imagine where the inspiration for this song might have come from. This is Whisky for Breakfast. I take whiskey for my breakfast to see me through the day. Just one little whiskey helps me on my way. Clears my tubes, thins my blood, clarifies my head. Just one little whiskey, then I go back to bed. I don't need no scrambled eggs. I don't need no bacon. A single malt is all I need to stop my hands from shaking. Now some folk love their cornflakes and others porridge oats. Shredded wheat, sugar puffs, whatever floats your boat. If I have to eat grass for breakfast, this is the kind I'll choose. A little bit of barley converted into booze. And I don't need no scrambled eggs. I don't need no bacon. A single malt is all I need to stop my hands from shaking. I come from the land of Calvin, the devil, and John Knox. Winter lasts for half a year, we sleep in woolly socks. But if I lived in southern lands and woke up in the sun, I wouldn't need breakfast whiskey, well, maybe just the one. I don't need no scrambled eggs. I don't need no bacon. A single malt is all I need to stop my hands from shaking. Oh, cloudy old Bernasconi lives in San Moritz, and he cleans his teeth with whiskey. He very seldom spits. He brushes, then he gargles and swallows it with glee. And then he comes down for breakfast, and he has the same as me. And I don't need no scrambled eggs. I don't need no bacon. A single malt, that's all I need to stop my hands from shaking. And when I go to Isla, I party all night long. Fun and drams and stories, even the occasional song. And sometimes I take breakfast before I go to bed. But if there's nothing in the fridge, well, I have another dram instead. I don't need no scrambled eggs. I don't need no bacon. A single malt is all I need to stop my hands from shaking. And when I go to Dufftown, I stay at the Tannock Brae, and Alan keeps some whiskey in an aerosol spray. He spreads a mist of whiskey over my beans on toast. Then he squirts some on my tongue, and I like that the most. I don't need no scrambled eggs. I don't need no bacon. A single malt is all I need to stop my hands from shaking, to stop my knees from quaking, to stop my bones from aching, to stop my skin from flaking, to stop my heart from breaking. And unless I am mistaken, I'll be dancing like a Jamaican. Oh, whiskey for my breakfast, and I'm limbo dancing all day long.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Whisky for breakfast. What a better thing to do. Robin Ling from Scotland with his fabulous collection of whiskies behind him, inspiring Whisky for Breakfast and other fabulous songs. Do look him up. He's got some other beautiful, beautiful tunes. Thank you again.
Thanks, Bryony. Bye-bye.
And that brings another week's Liquid Gold TV to a wonderful close. Thank you for joining me, and I'll see you in 2 weeks for another dram.